y'all? Hey, it's Troyia Monay. That's y'all with another video. Today's video is super exciting as always. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the differences between LLCs versus sole proprietorships, you guys. So I'm definitely going to be informing you guys about the differences between each one of them, what they even are, and which one you should do when you are in the early stages of launching your business. But before we go ahead and hop right on in, I do want to mention that I am no legal, tax, accounting, corporations expert in any way. I just love coming on here and sharing with you guys all of my great advice and all of the knowledge that I have when it comes to launching businesses, since I get so many questions about all of these topics all the time anyway. So let's go ahead and hop right on in. Y'all know I got my laptop right here with all the good information. So what is the differences between LLCs versus sole proprietorships? Which one is better? And which one should I choose as a new business? So these legal structures, LLCs and sole proprietorships, are great ways to go through and to establish your business in that early stages. Of course, you can definitely go through and maybe get an S Corp or a C Corp maybe later on down the line once you go through and grow. But these two entities are great for smaller businesses. Okay, so what is a sole proprietorship? I have the definition right here. A sole proprietorship is the simplest and most common business structure chosen to start a business. It is an unincorporated business owned and usually operated and ran by one business owner or one individual, and it has no distinction between the personal, so the person who owns and operates the business, and there's no distinction between the actual business as a whole either. And we're going to hop into a little bit later on discussing, what that actually means. So what is an LLC? So an LLC stands for Limited Liability Company. An LLC is one type of legal or business structure that can be owned and operated by one or multiple people. It's usually the most popular, especially for smaller businesses, because it has that limited liability aspect, and we'll get into what that actually means too later on. It's also the easiest and the cheapest type of business structure aside from sole proprietorships. So it is a lot cheaper than forming a S Corp or a C Corp or anything like that too. So what are some of the pros and cons when it comes to sole proprietorships, you guys? So some of the pros is that it is free. There's nothing that you actually have to apply for in order to be a sole proprietorship, but you do have to go through and make sure that your business name is at least registered through, whether that be a DBA or depending on whatever your state recommends for you to go through and do. And you definitely will have maybe some additional business documents, but there's actually no really sole proprietorship application or anything like that. It's completely free. You're also responsible for paying federal, state, taxes, different things like that. Maybe self-employment taxes with your Schedule C, but you're not required to pay any actual business or unemployment taxes because you don't actually have a actual legal business structure, quote unquote, in a sense. So you don't have to pay any of those taxes, so that's definitely good. And then the last pro is that you get to enjoy a lot of the different benefits that LLCs have. So you have a lot of different write-offs that you can definitely take advantage of, just like LLCs. So whether that's writing off any marketing costs, any promotional costs, or anything like that, travel costs, any entertainment costs, whether you do that for your clients or for your customers. So you do have that ability too when it comes to sole proprietorships. So let's go ahead and hop right on into the cons, y'all. Ooh, these cons. So the first con is that there is no liability protection for you at all. Literally. So that means you have no protection when it comes to debts, lawsuits, and a bunch of other obligations when it comes to having an actual sole proprietorship. So let's say you have a skincare company and someone's skin breaks out tremendously. You have several people whose skin breaks out tremendously. It goes viral. Everybody's talking about your business, and then they all decide to sue you. If you have a sole proprietorship, they are not suing your company. They are going to sue you for what you are worth and what your personal assets are worth. So if you have a house, they come in after that. They're going to come after your car, the money that you have saved. If you're married, they're going to come after your spouse's money. So you want to make sure that you avoid this at all costs. That's why I always recommend LLCs, and we're going to get into my opinion later on. But your personal assets are at risk when you do have a sole proprietorship, you guys. So definitely keep that in mind. You have no liability protection whatsoever. It's also very difficult for you to receive funding. So if you wanted to go through and you wanted to get maybe some grants, some loans, different things like that, a lot of these investors will not give it to you because you're not looked at as a credible business, quote unquote, in their eyes. So that's why it's always best to, if you want to get, any financing or funding or anything like that, to just go the LLC route as well. It's also very tough for you to establish business credit. So a lot of these financial institutions as well, they're going to categorize you when you go through and you try to get business credit as a personal loan, and they're not going to categorize you as getting a business loan. So if you are looking into establishing business credit, it is going to be very, very difficult for you to do so if you do the sole proprietorship route, you guys. So let's hop right on into LLCs. I personally have 2 LLCs. I have one for my clothing company, Wanted Wardrobe, and then I have a LLC also for Her Hustle Academy. So LLCs are the greatest, the best route to go, just because they provide you with a lot more benefits and a lot more protection for your company. So the pros of having an LLC is you're a lot more credible as a business owner. You're looked at and you're taken a lot more seriously when you do have an LLC. Next thing is you are protected. This is the best benefit of having your LLC, is that limited liability protection. So that's going to give you protection against debts, lawsuits, other obligations, and different things like that. So if someone decides to sue you, if you have a skincare company and it breaks them out and all of this crazy stuff happens, they're going to be suing your company and what your business is worth, and they're not going to necessarily be touching any of your personal finances. So that is the greatest thing when it comes to having your LLCs as well, is that protection and that liability that it comes with. So if you are a boutique owner and you're thinking about getting brand ambassadors or influencers or anything like that, you also really want to make sure that on any contracts as well, if you have an LLC, that you put your LLC's name at the bottom and you sign that, and not put your personal name on anything as well. So that way that's clear indication that if something happens, you are going through and your business is going to be liable and not you. So you guys definitely want to do that when it comes to contracts or anything like that. Never put your actual name, put your business's name on there, and then you're going to sign that because you are the sole member and owner of that business and LLC as well. You also have a ton more options when it comes to financing. So you can open up all sorts of maybe accounts if you wanted to do some business credit cards, some small business loans. If you want to eventually get a brick and mortar storefront, you're going to have an LLC in order to do leases, different things like that. So if you wanted to work with a factory, if you want to do manufacturing, they're definitely going to want you to have an LLC. So you have a lot more flexibility when it comes to financing and funding and different things like that as well. You also have several different additional tax benefits when you do have your LLC too, that you can definitely take advantage of there as well, you guys. So let's hop into the cons of having an LLC. They're not too bad, but there are a few cons. There is going to be an additional cost. So that's going to cost you anywhere between $75 to maybe $500, depending state by state, in order for you to sign up and register and to pay your annual fees. So not only do you have to register and pay to get an LLC, annually you're going to have to make sure that you pay as well to make sure that that LLC is in good standing. So if you do not pay after you go through and you get your LLC initially and something happens within your company, you're going to be looked at as a sole proprietorship, and you're going to kind of drop back down to sole proprietorship rating, and you definitely want to avoid that. You also have to pay state business taxes and unemployment taxes and different things like that, depending also if that varies, state by state too. So those are some of the pros and cons when it comes to having an LLC, you guys. My final thoughts are this. I recommend a sole proprietorship if you are the only member of your business. So you know that, okay, I know I'm running this business and I know that I'm going to do it just solo. Go through and get you a sole proprietorship. Also, if you're just getting started and you're just testing the waters, you don't even know if you want to go through with this business within maybe the first few months or so. You're kind of just seeing if this is something that you want to do. Go sole proprietorship. Don't even waste your money on the LLC. If you don't have a ton of personal assets, so if you're a teenager, you're very, very young, you're in college, you don't have too much money saved up, you don't have a house, a car, a husband, go sole proprietorship route, because you don't have a lot of those personal assets that will be affected if something were to go through and happen with your company. Next thing is if your business is not a high risk company. If you have a high risk company where somebody potentially could go through and sue you, just go LLC route. This is going to be crucial for hair companies. If you're a hair company, get you an LLC, because y'all hair companies be going through it. So just go ahead, get you an LLC and get it out of the way. Another thing is you can always go sole proprietorship to LLC anyway. So keep that in mind. So I recommend an LLC if you plan on hiring employees. If at any time, eventually later on down the line, you're going to need the LLC anyway, just go through and just get your LLC if you do plan to hire employees. If you have a ton of personal assets, if you have a house, you own your car, you're married, you have a husband, you have a lot of, money saved up, different things like that. If you have personal assets, go LLC route to make sure that your personal assets are not affected at all when it comes to your business. If you're a high-risk company, go LLC route. Like I said, if you're a hair company, skincare, anything beauty, go ahead and get you an LLC. Also, if you plan on having live events, if somebody breaks their leg at your pop-up shop event that you have, or at your store or anything like that, you're going to be liable and you don't want your personal assets going to be affected. So make sure you go LLC route. And then last thing is if you're very, very passionate about your business, I recommend you to go through and go LLC route as well, because eventually you're going to have to get one anyway. So that is my tidbits on LLCs versus sole proprietorships. I hope that this made it clear for you guys. I know that it is very confusing trying to figure out a business structure. So hopefully this helped you guys out a ton. Give this video a big, big, big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And if you are enjoying all of my content, you guys, that definitely keeps me going and keeps me grounded when I am planning out content videos for you guys. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.